It is September 6, 2016. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. More bad news is coming out in the financial world, and it's now including some of these schools, or at least in this story, one particular college. And I'm at a loss to what is going to happen to the students. It's coming out that for-profit college ITT shuts down. Tens of thousands of students are in the lurch. Another for-profit college has closed, leaving tens of thousands of students in the lurch. ITT Educational Services announced on Tuesday that it is shutting down its more than 100 ITT Technical Institute campuses immediately, accusing the federal government of unfairly stripping it of eligibility for student aid. It's an abrupt move that will impact 35,000 students who are currently taking classes on campuses and online throughout the United States. Many of them are now left without a degree and saddled with student debt. That's kind of crazy. ITT said it also eliminated the jobs of the overwhelming majority of more than 8,000 employees on Tuesday. Last week, the Department of Education barred the school from allowing any new students to use federal loans to pay for ITT, and the school promptly stopped new enrollment. This action did not affect Daniel Webster College, a school in New Hampshire owned by ITT. That campus remains open to its 700 students, but it will be difficult for the school to keep operating without the parent company's support, the president said in an email to students Tuesday. ITT accused federal officials of forcing the closure and denying it due process. But the company has been the subject of state and federal probes for years over its recruitment tactics, lending practices, and job placement figures. In order to have access to federal student loans, schools need to be accredited by a government-recognized accrediting agency. ITT Educational Services was found to be out of compliance with its accreditor standards twice this year, according to the Department of Education. Now, hang on here. I'm gonna pause to comment. This is my second time in doing this. I had some really good rants during the first time that failed. But anyway, so let's talk about this, because we saw the same thing happening in the housing market, okay? And that's what they're doing. They're just passing around the buck, making everybody else scapegoats except for them, meaning the government. So what they did is, in the case of mortgage lending, they encouraged the mortgage lenders to just give everybody loans, give everybody a home loan. In the college industry, education industry, they encouraged the schools to accept students. Push, 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 push. Okay? Now, this was during the time that Obama was encouraging everybody to go back to school. Everybody. Whether you were a newly graduated student or whether you were retired, he was really pushing us to go back to school. Why? So that we can further ourselves, so that we can move on to the next level of technology and how the world is today. It was BS. It was BS. Okay? Because they knew ahead of time that those jobs were not going to be there. Okay? Just like they knew ahead of time that the people wouldn't be able to afford their mortgages. Okay? So they're setting everybody up for failure. They set up a lot of the older people up for failure in their homes. Okay? So they lost their homes. They lost their property. They lost everything that was of value to them. And then they turn around and they strip the kids of the same thing. That's what they are doing. They are stripping us. They are taking absolutely everything away from us. Now, is the federal government going to step in and give these students back the money they had to pay out? I doubt it. Are they going to help them with the loans in any way? I doubt it. They don't care. They don't care. All they are doing is passing the buck around, passing the blame around, and trying to keep these elusive numbers so confusing that nobody can understand them, so that people don't start pointing the finger in the right direction. Anyway, we'll continue. Enrollment in for-profit schools increased in the years following the recession when job growth was weak and people were looking to hone their skills or switch to more in-demand careers. And see, that's what they were promising everybody from what I remember, is they were promising, go to these schools, learn new skills, get a good job, right? So you had people flocking to go to school just to get out, and there was no job there. Now, mind you, the government was encouraging these schools to inflate their jobs numbers and this and that number to get people. They were pushing these schools to do whatever they had to do to recruit students. Same thing that they did in the housing market. They pushed the mortgage companies to give people loans, regardless. For-profit schools tend to enroll students who rely heavily on federal student aid in the form of grants, loans, and military benefits. Without that aid, many students wouldn't be able to go. Before the DOE's ban on federal aid at ITT last week, enrollment had already been slipping. In July, the company reported its new student enrollment dropped almost 22% from the same period the year before. It's not the first for-profit college to run into trouble. The well-known University of Phoenix lost 50,000 students last year, and DeVry University has been sued by the Federal Trade Commission for misleading students about their chances of getting a job and increasing their income after graduation. Last year, Corinthian College closed most of its schools after being slapped with a $30 million fine by the DOE for overstating job placement rates for graduates. The company eventually filed for bankruptcy. ITT had not filed for bankruptcy as of Tuesday afternoon. Corinthian's closure impacted 16,000 students. It was one of the biggest school closures at the time, and the DOE has since made efforts to streamline the process for those seeking debt relief. Options for students. The 40,000 current ITT students aren't left with many options, and many could be stuck with student loans to pay off and no degree. The good news is that their federal loans could be wiped away. Loan cancellation. Current students, or those who had withdrawn in the past 120 days, can apply to have their federal loans canceled, the government said Tuesday. To do so, first contact your loan servicer to find out how to apply for the cancellation. You'll likely need to submit a copy of your academic transcript. Parents who borrow a Parent Plus loan from the government to help their child pay for ITT are not eligible for loan cancellation. It also does not apply to private loans. If you borrowed money from a private bank, you should contact that lender to ask if they might offer some debt relief. Yeah, good luck with that. For more information about how to receive a loan discharge from the federal government, check its ITT announcements page. Transfer credits to a new school. This might not be easy, but those who are close to finishing their program may want to explore this option. On its website, ITT itself says that credits earned are unlikely to transfer. The DOE said it is working with colleges near ITT campuses that have similar programs to help facilitate transfers. If you are able to continue your program of study elsewhere and transfer your credits, you may not be able to have your federal loans discharged. Currently enrolled ITT students will be contacted via email by the DOE with more information about their options. Alumni, those who graduated or withdrew from an ITT school more than 120 days ago, are not eligible for federal debt relief because the school closed. They could, however, apply for what's called a borrower defense to repayment cancellation. In that case, the former student must prove that they were defrauded by the school. You will be asked to provide details about how the school may have violated a state law, and unlike the case with Corinthian, that's not something the DOE has proved. Were you enrolled at an ITT school that just closed? Share your story with CNN Money by emailing Katie there. Very interesting. Very interesting. And we're going to see a lot more falling down, whether it be schools, whether it be businesses. Money's not there, folks. What you're seeing